I never believed in ghosts, at least, not until I moved to Hammersmith. It was late autumn when I rented a small flat above a bakery on Black Lion Lane. I just transferred from Manchester to London for work, and the rent there was surprisingly cheap for the area. The agent, a nervous man who spoke too fast, only told me one thing before handing over the keys. "You'll hear stories about the Hammersmith Ghost. Pay them no mind. People here get superstitious." I laughed it off at first. But I stopped laughing 2 nights later. The flat was old, creaky floors, windows that whistled when the wind blew. My first night there, I heard footsteps in the hallway outside my door around 2 a.m. slow, deliberate, heavy. I thought it was just one of the other tenants, but when I checked, the hall was empty. The second night, the same thing, footsteps, followed by a low, rhythmic knocking on the wall. I knocked back out of irritation, but the sound didn't stop. It just changed direction, moving along the wall like something pacing. That's when the bakery owner downstairs, Mrs. Patel, caught me the next morning and said quietly, "Don't stay out past midnight. Not in this neighborhood. Not since it came back." When I asked what she meant, she gave me a look that was somewhere between pity and fear. "You'll know if you see it," she said. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound felt amplified, the groan of pipes, the hum of the fridge, even my own heartbeat. Around 1 a.m., I heard something outside my window. My flat overlooked a narrow cobblestone street that ran behind the bakery. When I peeked out, I saw fog rolling thick and low, and through it, a pale shape drifting near the lamppost. It looked like a man, tall and thin, wrapped in something white. I blinked, trying to focus, but the figure turned. The light caught its face. Only there wasn't a face. Just a hollow void where it should have been, the faint shimmer of something wet, and the unmistakable impression of breathing. I stumbled back, knocking over a chair. When I looked again, it was gone. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I found muddy footprints on the stairwell, bare, human footprints leading up from the bakery's back door to my floor. They stopped right outside my door, then vanished. Mrs. Patel didn't seem surprised when I showed her. "It's the ghost," she said simply. "Same as before. It walks again." She told me the story then, one that every local apparently knew, but no one liked to discuss. Back in the early 1800s, a man named Thomas Millwood had been mistaken for a ghost and shot dead by a watchman on these very streets. People claimed his restless spirit haunted the area for decades afterward, a tall figure dressed in white, roaming near the churchyard after midnight. The tales died down over time, but every few decades, someone reported seeing him again. Only now, people said, it wasn't Millwood anymore. It was the watchman. That night, I decided to record the sounds. I set my phone by the door, hit record, and tried to stay calm. Around 2:15 a.m., the knocking started again, 3 sharp raps, followed by silence. Then a dragging sound, like someone pulling something heavy along the hallway. In the morning, I played the recording back. At first, it was just static and knocks. But near the end, there was a faint whisper. I turned the volume up. "He shot me." I dropped the phone. The voice was male. Quiet, raw, like someone forcing words through a crushed throat. And it came from inside the flat. By the third night, I was barely functioning. I kept seeing things in the corners of my eyes, flickers of white, shadows shifting where there shouldn't be any. The bakery downstairs had started to smell strange too, like wet earth and decay. I told myself it was stress. That I'd been primed by Mrs. Patel's story and my brain was filling in the gaps. But when I came home from work that Friday, I found the flat freezing cold, my breath visible in the air even though the heating was on full. And on the wall opposite my bed, written in what looked like condensation, were the words. "I didn't mean to kill him." That's when I decided to leave. I packed a bag and went downstairs, only to find Mrs. Patel crying in the kitchen. She said she'd found muddy footprints again that morning, this time leading into the bakery itself. The back door was open, she said. But it wasn't forced. Whoever came in had a key. When she said that, I realized something. My spare key was gone. I hadn't used it in weeks, but it had always hung by the door. Now it wasn't there. I should have left right then. But something in me, curiosity, pride, stupidity, made me go back upstairs for one last look. The fog outside was thicker than ever. I turned on my phone flashlight and scanned the flat. Everything looked normal, until I noticed the trapdoor in the ceiling of the hallway slightly ajar. I didn't even know I had an attic. I grabbed a broom and pushed it open. The smell hit first, mold, dust, and something faintly metallic. I climbed the old ladder halfway and shone the light inside. There was a figure sitting against the far wall. At first, I thought it was a mannequin. It was dressed in old-fashioned clothes, white shirt, waistcoat, trousers. But then I saw the eyes. They were human. Dull and glassy, staring right at me. And the chest, it moved. Just slightly. Like a breath. I nearly fell off the ladder. When I blinked, the figure was gone. Just a pile of clothes on the floor, and in the dust, footprints, bare, heading toward the hatch. I jumped down, slammed it shut, and ran to the door. But the hallway outside had changed. The wallpaper was peeling. The light bulbs flickered. And at the end of the corridor stood a man, tall, in a white burial shroud, his face half decayed, eyes black as tar. He raised one trembling hand and pointed straight at me. "He shot me," he whispered again, the same voice from the recording. The world spun. I don't remember running, but somehow I ended up outside, barefoot on the street, the fog swallowing everything around me. When I turned back, the building looked wrong. The windows were dark, and in the topmost one, I saw him watching. The figure. Just standing there, staring. I didn't go back. I moved out of Hammersmith 2 days later. Mrs. Patel closed the bakery soon after, claiming the walls had gone bad. That was 3 months ago. Last week, I got an envelope in the post. No return address. Inside was a single old newspaper clipping from 1804, about the Hammersmith Ghost case. The photo showed the watchman who shot Thomas Millwood. His name was Francis Smith. I didn't notice until I read the fine print, the handwriting on the back of the clipping, almost faded with age. "Forgive me, Francis. I never left." There was a faint, muddy fingerprint at the bottom. And when I looked closely at the reflection of the paper in my window, someone was standing behind me, just a blur of white. Breathing.